today we have the R&D team from Ozone, Zimmermann, Axel Mazella. You guys are here to present a new Parawing, the AfterBurner. What was missing in the Parawing lineup that prompted you guys to say, let's explore something new?
Just out of an experiment, really. That was our goal, to make car shuttles and stuff just like obsolete.
Who is this Parawing for? Let's start talking about the bar. We'll work our way up. We'll talk about the bridal system, the canopy shape.
It's a monoblock carbon bar, super light, super minimalistic.
Once you start the cascade, those lines get a lot thinner, don't they?
It's using a bit of a thinner line to enhance the performance.
Is this even higher aspect than the Pocket Rocket V1? The 3.6 Pocket Rocket is around a 10-11 second stow on land, and it was very similar. There's something to the way this Parawing pumps, the recovery from the pump, and ready for you to pull again on that bar. People will compare this Parawing to double skins. It's in that league of performance. Why did you guys not go with the double skin? What was the fastest you've gone on the AfterBurner?
I managed to go to Nos with it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That is freaking fast. Welcome to the LabRat Foiler Podcast. My name is Dan, and today we have the R&D team from Ozone, Zimmermann, Axel Mazella. Welcome back. You guys are here to present a new Parawing.
Yeah, thank you for having us again.
Well, I always enjoy when you say, we have to organize a call because we have something new. And this time, like every other time, you guys came up with something that we haven't seen before. The AfterBurner, new Parawing in the lineup. I want to start with like a little bit of the journey that you guys go through before you actually launch a Parawing, and just trying to understand what was missing in the Parawing lineup with the Power Pack and the Pocket Rocket that prompted you guys to say, hey, let's explore something new. And how did you get to the AfterBurner?
Yeah, that program kind of started out of just out of an experiment, really. We were fiddling around with a lot of ideas, like, half double skin, full double skin, prototypes, and we always were missing the accessibility on those designs, and we found them quite hard to deal with, and they weren't really easily performing in the low end conditions. And we were trying really hard, and at some stage we put everything aside from those ideas, and I just kind of started off with what now became the AfterBurner, really. Added a lot more ribs, higher aspect ratio, still single skin design, just to keep the accessibility in the light wind and in the bottom end. And I think we had the first prototype in October or November last year, and then kept developing all the sizes from there and worked on refining the trim and stuff. So it was out of the search and the idea of having a maximum performance wing, especially on the upwind. Yeah. So that was our goal, to make like car shuttles and stuff just like obsolete, because none of us really liked the idea, and we never really did do that. We just always went out for doing laps and go upwind, downwind. We never really car shuttled. I did it once or twice, and it's just like the organization behind it is just a nightmare. So, and you're missing so much time on the water at the end. Yes, you do your downwind run, but then you're kind of done, and then you have to retrieve cars and stuff. So, half the day is gone by just doing that, and you're missing water time basically. So we didn't really like that. So we tried to increase the performance, and also like the sensation of going upwind, not having to battle as hard against the wind, but kind of having a nice flow together with the wing upwind, and kind of getting that locked in feeling, as many of the people are used to know from the foil kites as well. And that's kind of how the project started. Yeah.
I like that because, well, I just came from a session with the AfterBurner. I was on the 3.6 today, and the amount of wind that it can take is absurd because I'm going to struggle to find the top end of these Parawings. I think it's going to be hard to max them out. But I think you've touched on this already. Like, I want to let everybody very aware of like, who is this Parawing for? Because I think you mentioned a few things already in, how you got to the AfterBurner that I think kind of sums up who this Parawing will be really well used for.
Yes, it's definitely for the experienced rider. It's not the first timers wing. We got other models in the range for that, but for those people that might even be familiar with foil kites, or at least have parawinged for a good season or so, it's got a lot of performance, and it is accessible, but you still need to know how to handle all the bridle lines, and there's more on the AfterBurner of those, and you need to know how you properly packing and be able to have a nice and clean redeploy on those wings. And then, once if you're looking for maximum upwind performance, might it be to go downwind runs or even on, flat water lakes or whatever. It's just good fun and to ride around with, cruise around with. Yes, and it's still easy, very easy to pack and redeploy as well at the same time.
Yeah, I was surprised because I knew what was coming, and in my impressions, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm going to, have a difficult time stowing, a difficult time on the bottom end, which was really surprising, the bottom end of this thing. I think there's really nothing that it lacks when you compare it to like a pocket rocket of the same size. They're really, really good. And I was talking to Axel before you joined. Today was really, during the session, I found that there is a sweet spot when you're trying to get up. You're trying to position the Parawing to pull you at like a 45-degree angle, let's say, and you go a little bit further up, a little bit further down, it doesn't work. But when you get to that point where it just matches the wind, it just yanks you out of the water so fast that I don't know, but I feel like I can get up on the 3.6 easier than the pocket rocket 3.6. And we'll leave it at that for now. Let the people get their own ideas. But I was really impressed with the bottom end. So let's have a look at this thing.
Johnny and Patrick were saying the same in the call the other day.
Like I think there's something to the way this Parawing pumps. Like when you're actually pulling on the Parawing, it recovers from a pump so fast. Other Parawings, like it takes a little time for it to get that the pressure back into it. This one is like immediate, so you can pump so fast, and I thought it was very impressive. Like I'm like, oh, is this easier than the pocket rocket? I thought I was a little bit having an easier time with it today, but we'll start showing the Parawing because people are interested to see how this thing looks. I went with a different color scheme this time. I love the custom colors. I always froth on these things. I decided to not go with any leading edge, a different color, but obviously the color scheme has leading edge and that circle as an option that always helps people identify it. But because I know how to pack a Parawing with my eyes closed by now, I decided to go with this color scheme. But let's start talking about the bar. We'll work our way up. We'll talk about the bridle system, the canopy shape, but let's start with the bar, Dom. There's definitely something very different in this bar when you compare it to the other models. Take us through a little bit what this bar is made of and the overall shape of this bar.
So this bar, which you can see here in the picture, it's a monoblock carbon bar. We went for one size, which is a 35 centimeter from bridle point to bridle point on the front to the back. And then we can see we have a little extension on the front, which makes it quite nice to, as you can see on the picture here, to rest your thumb on while riding. But also you can put your index finger in front of the front lines. And this gives you a bit more deep power control, we'd say, and a bit more grip flying it one-handed, which is quite nice. The VAR is EVA wrapped with a nice texture, so it's very grippy and identified by the red and the gray front and back, just to know which way around, the right way around it is. And yeah, it's super light, super minimalistic. We liked, like our idea and our approach was to have it light, minimalistic, so it packs down small and it's not adding bulk to your package when stowing away, pretty much.
It gave me a really direct feel as well for the Parawing. I feel like this Parawing steers very, very fast. It feels like a Formula One car. Zero delays, and I don't know if that's a function of the bar or the bridles or both, but 35 centimeters is surprising. They didn't feel that big when I was packing it down. I think it felt all right for 35 centimeters. Maybe it's the diameter that helps a little bit with that. But when we talk about bars, we don't have any connection systems in this photo, but we do have some new accessories that are worth talking about as well that go on the bar, some new harness loops. So can you talk us through a little bit of what options are you providing now for people who want to have a little harness loop on their bar?
So we do have multiple harness loop options by now. The most common one is our single fixed harness line, fixed loop harness line, I think it's called correctly, which just goes around on one spot on the bar, and then you've got a PU covered line that you can easily hook in and out of your harness hook. That's kind of the common one that we used to have for 2 years now.
And
yes, Axel?
This one come directly with the AfterBurner.
That comes with the Parawing now? Yeah, that's nice.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So that's attached to your AfterBurner bar already. There's 3 other options. One other option is having the same style of harness line, but with a 2-point connection to the bar. So you can have your back attachment further back that allows you for easier angle of attack trim on the fly by just setting it to the angle around on your harness hook. And then we have both options, as I talked through, with a bungee loop, which is the single one is super minimalistic. It's a tiny little loop like this that then extends to 20-25 centimeters or longer ones depending on the length you're choosing. We've got the same length available in 20, 25, 30 and 35 centimeter length on all of them. And then additionally, and the last one is the bungee one with a double attachment. Basically.
I like that. Yeah, I'm curious to try the single bungee one. I think that'll be, because I think for the amount of time I spend going upwind, like in short laps, it's nice to have something that's minimal. It doesn't get away of your stow, like if you're doing a lot of stows during your session as well. So that's a cool option. I'm going to try that one. I haven't seen that one before.
It's a bit harder and needs the second hand to hook in and out, or hook in pretty much, just to open the loop a little bit to get it into your harness hook. The unhooking, yes, you need to first slacken off the extended bungee, get down to that. While the single harness, fixed harness line loop, it's stiff and easy to hook in and out, like within split of a second. So the bungee requires a bit more technique at getting used to it, but then when packing away, it is more minimalistic.
Yeah. Keen to try that one. Keen to try the double as well. I haven't tried a double connection to the bar, but I'm imagining that it allows you to just trim the Parawing with a different feel. That could be good.
We had a lot of feedback from people using it and liking it, so we designed one and added it to the range. Yeah, nice. And it's very minimalistic around the bar. It velcros onto the bar without having to undoing any lines or whatever. So it's a pretty neat system. Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the bridle system, because very similar bridle system that we can see with the bow line, the different, the separation of the external A lines to the middle A lines. A lot of, good carry on from the power pack that then went into the pocket rocket and now the afterburner. Tell us a little bit about your lines, because once you start the cascade, those lines get a lot thinner, don't they? When you compare it to the other models.
Yeah, exactly. We're using the same line material as we do on the power pack and on the pocket rocket for the lower lines. But then once it splits into the canopy on the uppers, it's using a bit of a thinner line just to reduce the diameter and enhance the performance, reduce the drag. So these lines are, I'm not even sure about the diameter. I think it's 0.7 or something. And a bit thinner, but since you're very close to the canopy already, and you do have quite a lot of them in your hand, due to the line layout, we can see every rib is supported on these afterburners, so there's a lot more lines going into the canopy.
Yeah.
So they're not really burning your hands or causing rush or anything, just because they're also quite short. It's just another, depending on the size, but it's another 60 to 40 centimeter, I think, that you're gathering there.
Yeah, once you get to that, that point of the stow, you already have a bunch of lines. I think it's that initial pull that if you just have one or two couple lines, even like just four that are thin, that creates a bit of abrasion. But they're so far up that once you're there, you already have a bit of a clump of lines in your hand.
Yeah, and you're well depowered as well on the wing already. It's already deformed and kind of came together. Yeah, and then obviously the single front line that we introduced on the power pack and now have on the pocket rocket as well. That also transferred into the afterburner. Yeah, as you said. So the whole system is pretty similar to the pocket rocket.
I felt at home straight away with that. It felt like, where how the other models work. This one was like, I know exactly what I'm doing here. Didn't take much to get used to it. And the line length is a little bit longer. This one is a 3/6 and I can get it within my span. But I'm imagining, I didn't try the 4/3 yet, but I'm imagining the 4/3 for me might be a double reach already.
Axel, is it really? I think we kind of try to keep them in a maximum arm span, but yes, definitely on the 5 and the 5/7 and bigger 6/5, you need to do a double rep.
We try to get the 3 and the 3/6 little bit longer to be able to calm down the wing as well, going all over the place in the windy conditions. While 4/3 to 6/5, we try to reduce as much as possible because we want to reach the hand span. But obviously, because there is more aspect ratio compared to the pocket rocket, the lines are slightly longer.
The 4/3 has a little bit more lines than the 3/6, or are they close? If they're close, I think an arm length would do, because I can get this one with an arm length.
I think you should still be able. It depends on your arm length, but you should still be able to grab it by one arm reach on the 4/3.
Nice.
Yeah.
That does go ahead. Sorry, Axel.
In general, we're talking about a few centimeters more compared to gas containers.
Well, you started to talk about this already, Axel, but definitely a high aspect shape. Moving on to the canopy shape now. Is this even higher aspect than the Pocket Rocket V1, or is it a similar aspect ratio?
That's a good question. No, I think it's still
it's higher.
Yeah, it's higher.
Yeah.
God, it's higher, but
quite a bit higher.
It's funny because I don't know, maybe it's the wingtip, because the wingtips are a lot thinner. They're not as square as they used to be. They come and they taper in a lot, that it doesn't feel like that high aspect.
Yes, you can't go crazy aspect ratio on these things just because you got so short lines and the danger of catching water all the time when you're riding along. So we worked on the aspect ratio quite a bit to, have the maximum or one of the maximum possible, but not going too crazy so it becomes a handful and annoying, touching your tip on the water all the time.
Yeah.
But it's still relative, Parawings are low aspect wings, really, compared to any other kites or wings out on the field, or, even handheld wings. They need to be low aspect ratio, just in general. But obviously, it is a bit higher than the Pocket Rocket V1 even.
Yeah. I want to play this video, Dom. I showed this to Axel in the beginning of our call, just while we were waiting for you. This is something that I did today, and I'm not sure if I should be doing this or not to this Parawing. If I continue the video, this is just a normal stow. There are some holes in the batten that I found were really, really good to stow. But I think this might be something that might screw up over time, because I don't know if this was built for purpose or not, but I'm sure people will put their hands into these battens like I'm doing. Should we be doing this or not?
Definitely not. No, that's not what they designed for. And I just seeing you now doing that is like, okay, I see why you're doing it, but it's not actually built for it. It's just to be, reduce the weight, because there's no, on the cutout triangles, there's no load on the material, so there's no need for it to be there. But it's not designed as such. We haven't been testing it to hold it like that. So you probably will be wearing the rib material, might be ripping the whole edges and fray them a bit more. So I do definitely not recommend holding it like that at all.
This is me. But this was today, actually.
Right.
And I was trying to stow and just getting like more familiar with the stow, and just holding it like that made it so easy to stow that I'm like, I need to talk to Dom about this, because I actually thread my index through it, and then it makes the stow very, very easy. And I was just timing it because I have a benchmark of the sizes, and the 3.6 Pocket Rocket is around a 10-11 second stow on land. And it was very similar. So I like people that are, I'm going to lose a lot of my stowing potential with this Parawing. I don't feel that was an issue at all. And I think we're getting better at these things, like we're getting better at stowing, our technique's getting better. So you can push a little bit more the design and we can still make it work.
Agree, yes. But still, it's up to everyone, but to use those holes, but it's not recommended and not designed for that.
Okay, because we just came from our call with other people that are using this Parawing as well, and nobody talked about this, and I wanted to bring this up because I know people will stick their hands in them. So it's good to know that they're not built for it, but don't do it then. Let's just leave it at that.
Right.
Axel, I want to go to you a little bit, man, because this Parawing was really, I saw it for the first time when you went to the SFT. I saw a few photos and I'm like, there's something new. And then you went to Defi and you had an amazing race in Defi. And I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but maybe take us through that race, man. Like a race with over 600, 700 riders. How many riders were in that race?
Yeah, the Defi. So the first was the Défi Wing, which was 1,200 windsurfers, and now they did a new version for the wingers, and we were 800 on the start line, and they opened the registration to Parawings now. So yeah, we were a lot.
That's crazy. I can't even imagine a start with 800 people. I don't know how you guys don't kill each other.
Yeah, the start was pretty big, like more than 300 or 400 meters.
Oh,
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that race, man. Like, where were you positioned at the start? Did you just fly through everyone, or you had to come through the pack a little bit?
No, it's a rapid start, which means there is buoys and there is a boat crossing the start line to open it from leeward to windward. And then all the people have to start behind these boats and go for racing. And all of the fastest guys start at the bottom of the start line, obviously, because this is where the start line open first. And then you go for really long reaching. You go for 10 kilometers reaching one way. So on the right side, and then you have to turn a buoy and come back 10 kilometers. So that's one lap. And sometimes we've done 2 laps. So one race, it's either 20 kilometers or 40 kilometers.
Wow. How long does it take to do 20 kilometers on an AfterBurner?
I can't remember really well, but I think 20 kilometers, we've done it in half an hour.
Man, that is so freaking fast.
Yeah.
That is what about like speed wise? What speeds are you guys getting on a Parawing?
So first of all, we were on a beach, which is the fastest way you can go on any sailboat or whatever, water sports. So I went during the competition. I went around 30 to 32 knots. We're mainly on a 5 and 5.7 in 20-25 knots. So the goal on this race was to push the gear as the limit. Obviously, this wing is not designed for racing. It's designed to, as Dom says, to make better upwind performance, to spend less time upwind, but more time downwind. But because we've seen during our testing that there is some possibilities, and I'm a racer in my background, I wanted to push that even forward to see the limits. So that's why we came to the Defi and just test it in the real conditions.
That's insane, man. I'm curious to like compare a little bit your kite foiling speed to your Parawing riding speed. What was the fastest you've gone on the AfterBurner and the fastest you've gone on a kite foil?
The fastest on a kite foil for me was 43 knots. Some people managed to reach 45, which got even a smaller brain than me.
My God. That's crazy.
On the Parawing, once again, like just for testing, I went into 25 to 30 knots on small sizes AfterBurner during a winter session at home, and I managed to go to 38 knots with it. But once again, like I did that previously on a kite foil. I was used to go that fast on a kite foil. I was wearing helmet, impact vest, everything. I have point. As well on the water, and I was using also my kite foil racing foil, which I'm riding it since 5 years now. Like the only new parameters was the Parawing that I wanted to push as fast as possible. So I would say that I was in good condition to do it.
Man, I just convert 44 knots is 81 kilometers an hour. Is that right?
Yeah. Always.
That is freaking fast. And then 38 knots is 70 kilometers an hour. So this Parawing can go 70 Ks an hour. So when I was out there today, I was like, I don't think I'm going to reach the top end of this Parawing. I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm not even going to come close. Wow, that's impressive, man. But I think what you're saying there is, yeah, this is not a racing Parawing, but there is a concept that is related to racing that I think is really important for people to understand. And we're going to start using this more and more. And I think on our Parawing vernacular, that is VMG. So velocity made good. And can you explain to people a little bit what that is so everybody's aware?
Yeah. So because of all of the parameters we talked before, reduce the drag, a bit more high aspect ratio, stuff like this, give us more performance. What we try to fight against when we are going upwind is the wind. We definitely can go straight facing the wind on any sailboat. It's not possible. So we have to go left and right. And that's why the speed and the angle is really important on the sailing. And this, which is giving to you the VMG, velocity made good, which is the perfect combination in between the angle and the speed. So you can go as fast as possible, but if you don't go boating high against the wind, your velocity made good is definitely not good. And the opposite is also true. Like if you're facing the wind, but you're going super slow, this is not a good combination as well. So that's why we have this VMG existing now. It's the perfect middle in between going fast and going high against the wind.
I like that because a lot of people will be using this to do longer downwinds, and I'm thinking 10 kilometers and over. So with this Parawing, you can go fast and upwind at the same time rather than just going slow upwind or very fast but not making ground upwind. So it's that perfect combination, and obviously it takes a good rider to feel that as well. So you're not going too slow or too fast, but the gear will allow you to explore that to the maximum capacity, and I think it's important for people to know that.
Yeah, and higher your VMG number will be, and more it's gonna be efficient, and you're gonna spend less time going upward.
Yeah. Hey, LabRat fan! I want to invite you to the LabRat Academy, an online parawinging course. I will explain everything from the beginning. How the parawing works, choosing the right gear, safety, land drills, getting up on foil, staying upwind, stowing, and much, much more. I want to help you learn how to parawing in less than 30 days. You will also get access to weekly video calls with myself to discuss your progression and make sure that you are on the right track. I want to offer everyone who is listening to the podcast 10% discount on the course as a thank you for following on this crazy journey that Parawing has been. Add LabRat10 when you're checking out, and visit labratfoiler.com to subscribe. Now let's get to the interview. Another thing that we spoke about on our call, and this was with, I think Patrick Rebstock brought this up, that this Parawing is giving us kite foiling feelings. And I feel it is because of, the speed. And one thing that when I started to kite foil, what it unlocked was you going to further places than just staying in a high performing little spot doing wake style tricks. I started to kite foil and I started to go to different beaches on the bay, have a coffee and come back, and do 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers. And I wasn't even downwinding. I was just riding. So I feel that this kite foiling feel, I'm getting so much of that with this Parawing as well. And it's not even summer where we have, wind that lasts for a whole afternoon. So I feel that the distance that we will travel with Parawings will increase, and different areas that you might have not thought, that you could explore, I think will become definitely explorable now with this Parawing.
Yeah, I'm completely agree with you. And that's the thing I have as well, like the AfterBurner open possibilities, open more playground on the sea. And as I said, you can now be able to turn around some islands and some spot that you never reached before on a normal Parawing. And this is exactly the same on the kite foil. Like your VMG is way higher than any other sports, and you can easily reach a point way faster than before.
Yeah, and I got, well, I have the 3.6 and the 5.7 for now, and I think I wanted to try the 5.7. I've never tried a Parawing that big. I tried the 5 before, but I had a feeling that a very efficient Parawing would be really good in light winds. And this is not disappointing. I feel one of the things that was really impressive was this pumping, and we spoke about it, the recovery from the pump and, ready for you to pull again on that bar. So that's making my light wind riding super efficient now. And I think for bigger guys as well, this will be super helpful. The north of 90 kilo rider, I think they will benefit from this Parawing too.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, usually these guys are also a bit bigger and maybe a bit taller, and they can cope with a bit more line length as well at the same time. So even on the 6.5, you can, a big guy on the 6.5 is like, easy stowing, easy packing.
And I also had a session on, I was on the pocket rockets, but I wished I was on the AfterBurner. It was a really windy, really windy day, but it was 20 to 35 knots. So I was swapping Parawings in the water, consistently going from one size to another size. But there was also 8 foot of swell. So it was a big day. And I think the range that these Parawings are giving me, like the 3.6, I could ride in 30 knots today, no worries. And I would have been pushing it a lot on, the power pack or the pocket rocket. So the range, I think now, and I don't know about what you guys think about it, but I think people can almost skip a size on their quiver because you have so much room on the top end. Like you can maybe skip the size and just get 2 instead of 3 Parawings.
Yeah, we agree on that pretty much. Yeah. The top end has increased so much, so the overlap from the sizes definitely do exist now, while on the previous model, you almost have to have all sizes to have a perfect quiver. And right now you can easily get away with a 3.6 and then, jump onto the 5. And you probably will feel like you probably can downsize from the 5.7 to the 3.6 straight away even. If you're pushing both to the top and bottom end. So yeah, there's, the bigger the range gets, the more overlap you do have in the sizes and the less sizes you do need. And as you said, you haven't explored the top end of the 3.6.
Not even close.
And you've been into 30 knots and plus the same for us. I mean, we hardly ride the 3 meters only when it's like top 35. And then you feel like, yeah, that's good now. It comes to alive, becomes fun.
Tell us a bit about the sizing then, Dom. I don't know what sizes. Are you guys doing the smaller sizes? I don't even know if you need the smaller sizes on these Parawings.
That's what we decided on not doing at the moment. We'll see, how the demand comes along. But at the moment, the smallest size is the 3 meter, which we haven't really reached the top end yet. And we've been out on it to 40 knots or almost 40 knots. The other sizes are, up to the top. We got the usual sizes as we do have on the power pack and the pocket rocket as well. Next one is a 3.6, 4.3, 5, 5.7, and then we do have a 6.5 just because the low end on these things is quite good and you can have a lot of fun with, something around 10 knots on a 6.5, depending on your weight and foil size, obviously. But even to get going for Axel and me in 8 knots on the 6.5 is possible, on a small sinker board. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of light wind riding happening everywhere. People always ask for bigger, just because they might be on the lake or the conditions just are marginal. Some like to be very powered. So we added the 6.5 mainly because also the wing can take it. It's like you've got so much deep power that, you're not going to be overpowered within a increase of 5 knots wind strength or whatever. So
When I think about the depower in this afterburner, I'm feeling a very different feel than like how I'm depowering with the pocket rocket, and I think I'm going to transition a little bit of the skills that I'm building now with the afterburner into the pocket rocket riding. Like I feel that the afterburner, when you're overpowered, like sheeting out, and just sheeting out as much as you can, it doesn't react that well to that. It reacts better for you just to lean against it, and that will result in you going upwind like crazy. And as soon as you do that, it goes to the edge of the wind window, and it just kills the power like super fast. So I think for people that are interested in the afterburner, understanding a little bit about how it rides in comparison to the pocket rocket is important. I don't know, Dom or Axel, if you feel the same thing, but I'm feeling that I'm depowering a little bit more with my edge rather than, just letting go of the brake lines.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it's just like, and that's a similar feeling on a race kite or race foil kite as well. If you're depowering on the bar, you're not having that immediate effect, but once you then edge against it, it just keeps on shooting to the edge of the wind window, and that's what the afterburner does as well, which is due to the reduced drag and very efficient canopy. It just you edge against it and it shoots to the edge of the wind window, where it then loses most of the power.
I think that's probably the right technique that I wasn't using before, or wasn't using as much. But I'm going to start using that with the pocket rocket as well, because it's just a better way of riding. I think I'll be a little bit more limited with the pocket rocket, but
it won't be shooting as fast to the edge of the wind window, the pocket rocket, just because it's got more drag. So does the power pack. So any low drag design actually is better for that kind of technique.
Yeah, and when you say low drag, it reminds me of something that we spoke on the call as well. And I think Patrick, again, said this. There's a big revolution happening now in foiling with masts, skinny masts, super efficient foils. And when you go from whatever you're riding to these new, setups, the difference is ridiculous, and it's really hard to go back and ride anything else. I have a feeling that of this slipperiness in the air with the afterburner. I haven't ridden the pocket rocket since I got the afterburners, and I don't know what that's going to feel like, but I feel like it's that next level of just efficiency in the water. Like you just, your speed and your efficiency upwind is just effortless with this thing.
Agree, yeah.
And I think also the afterburners allow us to ride in a higher wind range. And if taking the example of Ken and Johnny, they are now able to ride a smaller board and smaller foils. And you can also go faster on the water and have more fun as soon as you're taking smaller foils and smaller boards. You can do better carves, surfing waves, better. Turns are also quicker, like giving you more possibilities to having fun.
Yeah. I speak a lot with Ken these days. I message him every day about something that I have in my mind, and he answers me. And now I think he's going to keep the 53 liter board, I think it is, as his only board. And he's
really small.
It's super small, but he's like, I can't believe you're still riding 80 liters some days. I'm like, well, we have sharks here, man. I don't want to be shark bait out there and be sinking and not getting up. If it's a 15 knot difference between the top end and the low end of the day, I'm taking an 80 board, man. I don't want to be shark bait. Yeah. But I want to ask you guys something now. So we have power packs, pocket rockets, afterburners. What's the future of the lineup going to look like? How are you guys going to push, the power pack to its limits? How are you planning on pushing the pocket rocket to its limits? And I think the afterburner now is, at the start of its journey, but how are you guys going to position these Parawings and push them to the max now?
They pretty much, are in their category. And if you're looking at going top to bottom or bottom up, let's say, the power pack, it's definitely an easy entry level, short laps run Parawing where, stowing efficiency, short lines, and not so much the speed and the upwind counts. So it's very easy for any beginner to get on. There's a lot less lines, a lot less canopy. Everything is very simple and basic. And then going up to the pocket rocket, it's the do it all around. Even a beginner can start using it. Intermediate to expert has a good time on it, can push, very hard. Still very easy to stow. And good angle, good VMG still. But then, obviously the AfterBurner is then the expert, and the high VMG wing, higher angle upwinds, higher speeds in general. I think, looking at, and I don't want to push people towards it, but I think looking at how fast this sport has been developed or has developed over the last years, people seem to be spending a lot of time on the water, getting the grip on Parawings. I think a lot of people will be ready for a wing like the AfterBurner, and will be enjoying the additional performance in it, and will accept the slightly lower, handy packaging and stowing ability, even though, you've just shown that it's almost as easy to stow as the pocket rocket.
Yeah,
but I still think, with the additional lines, there's more cells, more ribs, more material to it. It's a bit bigger package as well. I think people will accept that just for the benefit of actually having an enjoyable ride upwind.
Yeah, I think people really need to see this thing in person, because when I hear you talk about it, I was like, I'm going to give up a lot. And with it in your hands and doing the proper stowing technique, or just, having that ability to stow with whatever method you use, I didn't feel that much of a difference between the pocket rocket and this. I think the line length was probably the biggest difference I felt when it comes to the canopy and the package. I didn't think it was that much of a, you're not leaving too much on the table there for what you're gaining. But I always like to ask this to you guys, and you can caveat this with the style of riding and the board and the foils that you use. But last time I gave you guys 3 Parawings to choose from if you were building a quiver. This time I'm asking you guys to build a quiver with only 2 Parawings. So if you could only build a quiver with 2 Parawings, which models and sizes would you use? And you can give your explanation as to why as well if you want to.
Axel first.
Well, I'm a racer first, so
yeah, he's gonna get a 6.5.
No, for me, because I'm riding every time in my home spot, which is windy conditions. I would take 3.6 AfterBurner and 5 AfterBurner.
What's your spot like, Axel? Where do you ride normally?
I'm living in Hyères, which is on the south coast of France, in between Marseille and Nice. So we have a lot of Mistral wind, which is the most popular wind here, which is blowing at least to 25, 30 knots average.
Beautiful.
And if the Mistral is not here, I'm going for kite rolling or testing some tube guides or something else. So for me, when I'm Parawinging in my days off, what I would like to go, it's for the AfterBurner.
Okay, so you would go AfterBurner 3, 6, and 5.
Right. I would love to go for 3, but it's not windy enough at my home. I should have to go to Tarifa or living in Oud River for that.
2.4,
Nice.
You mean?
Dom. Yeah.
Yes. For the places that we ride, I can only join the same quiver as Axel suggested.
Oh my God.
Mauritius, usually where we ride the most, or where I ride the most, a 3.6 is pretty good. It's usually spot on, and then the 5 as the backup in the backpack. And yes, that's usually what I'm taking anyway. Is going out on the 3.6. It's my favorite size because it's kind of big enough to get going in 15, 17 knots, and when a bit drops off, you can still have the 5 to get back in, or to keep on riding. So yeah, I'm the same. And yeah, AfterBurner, they definitely it's the AfterBurner.
Nice.
Just because it's of the comfort, and it's not you're fighting less the wing. It's a smoother ride.
And you're on a small board too, right? You're on the 50-liter board?
Yeah, 55 as well, yeah.
Yeah, you boys are on next level. Look, this is my
no
last
sharks,
question. No sharks. Yeah, well, like
no
the shark is a factor, man. The sharks are a factor. Last question, like people will compare this Parawing to double skins. It's in that league of performance. Why did you guys not go with the double skin? Was the performance just as good, or how do you compare the AfterBurner with like the double skins that you guys were developing and decided not to use at all?
We kind of tried all different systems or styles of designs that are out there on the market, and every time we were struggling with to like the bottom end. So we wanted to have the easiness of the bottom end of the single skin, but kind of paired with the performance of top high end, and the feeling also. We've got a lot less load on your front arms. Everything is a bit lighter just because it wants to shoot so far to the edge of the wind window. So it's very low drag, but still has the bottom end. And I'm not saying, this is the only design that works for these conditions, and it depends of what people like, but it is, this is our approach to the top end performance, and we're kind of stoked for it. The packing is easy. There's no water entering the canopy that might, need to drain out somewhere or might get stuck. And there's pros and cons to every design, I guess. But that's what we liked the most, was our favorite. We've got the same VMG basically as any double skin that we build with this one. But have the accessibility and the low end.
Yeah. I feel like there's an element to it that I think you mentioned, the accessibility as well. When I tried double skins, I felt that they were really tough to fly. They're not, it's not that instinctual to just fly. You kind of have to think about what it's doing a little more. And I think what you guys were able to do with the AfterBurner is still make it very accessible, predictable, and fun. Like you guys do that with your Parawings. When I first tried the Pocket Rocket, man, I had a smile on my face. I was doing all sorts of things and trying to loop it around. And I think, the AfterBurner is just as fun. It's so reactive. It's sensitive. So it requires a little bit more finesse and, control in the bar. But man, I think anybody starting out as well, like if you touch this Parawing and you're proficient in other types of foiling, you'll be totally fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well done. Keep going, guys. Don't stop, okay? Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Just when you were talking, guys, I wanted to check the line lengths compared to the Pocket Rocket V2, just to give you those. The 4.3 AfterBurners got 3 centimeters longer riders compared to the Pocket Rocket V2, and on the 3.6 we're talking about 6 centimeters longer than Pocket Rocket V2. So it's not that crazy.
Yeah. From the 4.3 AfterBurner to the 3.6 AfterBurner, you wouldn't see that much of a difference then.
No, 3 centimeter.
Yeah, that's good. Well, look, guys, thank you for coming in and giving us, the inside scoop of the Afterburner. Definitely I feel like Parawings now are becoming more mature. We're matching wind range with wings. Axel is proving that we can surpass wings in some elements of riding now with his racing. So congrats, man. Like that's crazy to see what you're doing with these Parawings. So thanks for coming on. You never cease to amaze me with the stuff that you're putting out there. And I feel super proud, man, to be part of the team and, just be able to use this gear a little bit before everyone and just get my froth on is unreal. So thank you so much. And I can't wait for whatever is next.
Right on. Yeah. Thank you very much for having us again, Dan, and everyone for listening. And I guess we'll talk you very soon again.